Welcome, students. Today's topic is on remote sensing, a very important tool used in mostly in soil science in most of the department we use. But as agricultural concern, we will read about how many types of remote sensing is there and what are the integral tools are there and how many departments are included in this remote sensing. So without any delay, we will go to the next slide. So remote sensing, students. Remote sensing. If you go with a definition of this remote sensing is called as earth observation refers to obtaining information about an object or an area at the Earth's surface without being in indirect contact with the object or an area. See, this is what. So, what is the meaning of remote sensing? It's an Earth observation. Remote sensing. Remote sensing. Remote means we are somewhere in remote. Actually, in English we usually says where is the professor? Professor in a remote area. That's why we use that word remote. Remote means somewhere, some unknown area we are there. That is what remote sensing means feeling. We are going to get the observation. So remote sensing, also called as earth observation, refers to the obtain information. So we are getting an information of particular object, whether that object may be any object, whether it may be an agricultural land or it may be forest fires or or it may be sea surface area. No, we will get any type about a particular object or an area of earth surface. So we get the information without being a direct contact. We are not directly we are contacting. We are not getting any direct contact with that object or that particular area. Say for example, if I want to know the no, I want to know the sea surface water temperature. I want to know the temperature. So I can't for that I no need to go and take a boat or a ship and take a thermometer. So we can't. That is a very silly thing. It is very difficult to do. So instead of that, what I will use a remote sensing satellites. So based on that satellite, some radar or sometimes I may use microwave remote sensing. I use some tools, some remote sensing tools. Then I will get the data of that particular object, particular sea. Then I can calculate the what is the condition of the sea water temperature. Then I can go all this. And so with that, I can compare with the data with other environmental factors. So like this, it is just nothing but remote sensing is a refers to getting an information of a particular object or Earth surface without being any direct contact. Naturally, this task is generally we humans also are doing day-to-day activity. How we are doing this? Just example, eyes. So by seeing, no, we were just with our eyesight. So for example, all of a sudden, if you see a car with a very far range, so we can recognize with our eye. We can why we how we are saying that is a car means because our eyesight is giving information that reflecting light is coming to our eyes. Then we have some all our biological activity and it send the information to our central nervous system and so on. We are recognize that particular object. So we humans are expecting this one. And another thing is called by smell, by sensing. No, we have different smell. If you have flower smell or sometimes if you see any smell with the help of scent. If you see the milk smell, then we are with that help of smell we say okay, this is a milk. If we smell any flower, we can say this is a smell. So based on that sensing, even human beings also acting. And finally, another one is called sound waves, so with the ear. If anybody is playing any song, so we are saying that particular singer name. How we are saying that singer name? Because of that sound wave. So that waves are coming and hitting our eardrum. Then it go all our biological activity will go in our ears and it will reach to our nervous system. Then finally we'll get information to our brain. Then we will recognize it. So this is what these are the common human tasks. So just similar thing is can be you can say to the remote sensing also. These are the most sensitive things to it. So all these things. So in remote sensing, here you can see here in eye we are seeing some object means what is happening? Reflection from that particular object we are seeing. We are smelling this particular flower. How we are smelling? Because of that diffusion, that the smell diffusion was happening. Here we are hearing something means we are with the help of sound waves, that vibrating waves or any object was vibrated, we're getting that vibrations to our ears. So like this we are getting information through from particular mediator. In the same way, students, most sensing devices sensing in same things in sense of remote sensing devices record information object measuring the object's transmission of electromagnetic energy. This is what the EMF, electromagnetic waves. These electromagnetic waves will reflect a radiation on the surface. So whenever students see, for example, if we want to say, see for see students in when we switch off a light in our room or in our home, what will happen? We can't see any object. It's completely dark. We can't see anything. But all of a sudden, if you switch on a light, what will happen? The light will reflect. The light will reflect on the objects and the object will reflect some radiation, and that radiation will fall into our eyes. Then we can recognize, okay, this is a laptop, this is a so and so, this is a book, this is the kitchen. So we are going to we are going to recognize with that help of light. The same way, students, in remote sensing also, with the help of electromagnetic radiations, this EMF, electromagnetic radiations only, we are going to observe the particular, we are getting data of the particular object, whether whatever might be the object, we are getting object means, say for example, students, very heated bodies will release some infrared radiations. Have very hot bodies, iron box, or maybe some heating objects will release some infrared radiation. So that infrared radiation will be read by some sensor. So automatically we can record, okay, this particular area is this particular area. So every particular object will have some extent of a releasing of infrared radiation. So based on that, we will calculate what is the condition of that particular area. So to be very clear, I will see in the next slide. Yeah, this is one, students. Overall, students, remote sensing techniques allow taking, it will take images of the earth, will take the images of the earth and surface in various wavelength of electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic spectrum. So that spectrum in this remote sensing will take images. No, it will gather the information with the various wavelength of electromagnetic spectrum. You know what is the meaning of electromagnetic spectrum? Planck's constant, etc. We have did all these things. It's a very elementary concept. So electromagnetic spectrum. So students, remember image. What is the meaning of image? See this bold letters. Reflected solar radiation in visible and near infrared radiation regions of electromagnetic spectrum. Others are measured by emitted by the Earth's surface itself. It's called the thermal infrared or wavelength radiation. So overall, students, there are two types of reflections out there. One thing, some reflections will come from visual and near infrared radiations, and some objects, due to that heating of objects, that objects itself will release some radiations. Those are called the thermal infrared radiations or wavelength radiations. Also, these are the types of radiations we'll have. So that's why, students, based on this principle, we have two types of remote sensing. What are those? Passive and active remote sensing. See, students, what is the meaning of passive? Passive remote sensing means it is nothing but the source of energy. That means the source of electromagnetic radiations is natural in passive. So in daytime, whenever sunrise was fell on the earth surface, some radiation will be observed by the particular earth surface, and will be some radiation will be reflected. So that reflected radiations will be observed by the satellite, and this satellite will give the information to our base platform. So we will get the information from this reflected radiation. So here we are using natural source of energy. So we are using very natural source of energy. Natural source of energy is nothing but is one only natural source of energy, that is the sun. And another one is called active. So active remote sensing means here we can't here both source of energy will be mounted on the satellite. So satellite itself will release some radiations, and some radiations are in pass we will get a reflection. So here both the source of energy is maintained by the satellite itself. So that is called the active. So here there is no natural source of energy. We have to use some artificial source of energy only. That is called the active remote sensing. Passive remote sensing means, students, we have to use natural source of energy, that is called the sun. But in active, we have to carry our own source of energy. So our satellite itself will release some electromagnetic spectrum radiations onto the Earth's surface, and in back we will get some reflections. So that reflections will be read by the satellite. But here sun will be released. We are using sun reflections. So sun will release some electromagnetic spectrum, so that we will get reflections, and we will gonna read the spectral data of this particular Earth surface. So these are the two types of remote sensing. What are those? Passive and active. So please remember difference between these two. Here there is a natural source of energy, but here we can't see any natural source of energy. This is only possible in daytime, but this we can do at any time. We can use this type of active remote sensing. This is regarding with this slide. And coming to the next slide is called principles. Principle. What is the principle, students? Principle of remote sensing means detection. We have to detect the particular objects, and discrimination. We have to discriminate it from other discrimination object. Or the surface features means detecting and recording of radiant energy reflected or emitted by the object or a surface material. See, students, so read this one line, this two line. What we are seeing? We are here, see here, see. So some radiations was reflected from by the sun. Due to the heating up, some reflections will be taking place. So these reflections will be carried or will be read by the satellite. And this satellite will send the information to the downward here, downlink. So this information will send to the satellite and will go to the another antenna or somewhere antenna or it is a downlink. We go to some other antenna, and this reflection data, it will be processed. It will be processed in the computer, and they will store in a hard disk. So that means, say for example, students here, for example, here some buildings are there, some trees are there. So building reflection is different. The small pavement road, this road reflection is different. Grasses is different. So every object, tree reflection is different. In trees also, student, there will be a different reflection. So all this data, all these different reflections will be read by the satellite. That EMF, that electromagnetic radiations will be read by this, and this will send to the ground link. Here we will be, all this information will pass to the ground link, and those radiation data will be processed. So we human beings can't read that radiation data because it is only into that is a machine can read that, but we humans have to read, means we have to process the data, we have to use many softwares, then only we can understand. After processing, we get the information of this particular area. So automatically after processing, we came to know, okay, here there is a building, there is a house, there is a road, there is a grasses, there is a water is there is a forest, then only we will get. And after getting that data, we will store that data. We will store and we use it for our particular purpose. We use for many purposes. Based on our interest, we use that data. This is regarding the principles of remote sensing. Coming to the next, students, in remote sensing, there are many departments are there. So many departments, many combination of many things should be there. Then only, what are those remote sensing? Very first, photography is very important. Photography is very important in remote sensing. Another one is called spectroscopy. We want to know the spectroscopy. Naturally, we are taking the data from the electromagnetic radiation. So we have to know about some knowledge in spectroscopy and optics. So we will use many optic devices, especially in satellites, and or when we get the data, we will use many optics and some optic glasses we use. We have to know some knowledge in optics. Another one is called telecommunication. Yes, this is very important. After getting data, we have to use some telecommunication systems. Another very first important is called satellite launching. So we have to go for satellite launching. So only after satellite launching only we can go for remote sensing. Another one is called computers. So without computer, there is no remote sensing. And finally, electronics. Electronics, many devices we have to use GPS. We have to use many softwares, many hardware. So those are the electronics. So without these people, without these departments, or whether we need a satellite, we need a computers, and with computers we need some electronics, and also some photography, spectroscopy, optics, and also telecommunication. So where a combination of all this is called as remote sensing. So remote sensing needs help of all these things. Then only we can get the then only we can process the data, then only we can get the proper information. So these are some milestones, students, some historical background regarding the remote sensing. So very first in 1800, what happened? Sir W.H. Herschel has discovered the infrared radiation. So he's the first person who discovered the infrared radiation. And I know this is not fair to read all these things. And 1875, we can see some thermoelectromagnetic spectrum by J.C. Maxwell, very important person. Today we are reading about this electromagnetic radiations because the contribution of this person, Maxwell. And 1909, photography from aeroplanes. This is the first time we are taking, in 1909, very first time Gaspard had taken the aeroplanes from aeroplanes for the first time. We have taken the photographies. And in 1959, first space photographer on that, Explorer 6. 1959, first space photograph of Earth taken by 1959. That satellite name is Explorer 6. And 1970, Skylab remote sensing observation from space. So in 1970, we have established Skylab remote sensing observations from this space. So like this, there are many contributions. Many milestones have been taken place in the remote sensing. And coming to this, before going in detail about the remote sensing, we have to know some knowledge on electromagnetic radiation or electromagnetic spectrum. We have to know about this. This is very important because based on this only, we are writing. So if I want to speak very informal way, we are writing a letter or we are writing an exam. we are using with the help of pen. With the pen, ink we are using, we are writing on a paper, or we are writing a letter. Same way, we are getting information with the help of a remote sensing devices, means only because of this EMF. So just you can compare with ink, ink, it is, yeah, yeah, electromagnetic radiation. So electromagnetic radiation, students, a very dynamic form of energy, propagates a wave motion. This is a constant. Sorry, this is a constant 3 into 10 to the power of 10. This is a power of 10, students, not 1010. This is power of 10. It should be power of 10, not 1 or 10. So that propagations and oscillation, this perpendicular teacher. So electromagnetic wave nothing but perpendicular wave motion of both electric and magnetic waves. So this is what, this is the wavelength. So between the between these two wavelengths is called a wavelength. It's called velocity. Velocity is electromagnetic. We have two components mostly: electric field and magnetic field. So both are perpendicular to each other. So in electromagnetic radiations, there are, both are perpendicular. This is electric field, this is a magnetic field. Both are traveling in a straight line, but both are perpendicular to each other. So this is a very long subject to deal. But before, so overall, this is an introduction to the electromagnetic radiations, which is so there's we know this equation: Q is equal to hc, or by lambda is h nu. So Q is a energy equilibrium. H is a Planck's constant, and nu it is a wavelength. Is a constant. Nu is a constant. Constant means here this is state. We are using some value, some frequency. Nu means is frequency. Frequency is a H is a Planck's constant. This lambda is a wavelength. This is a constant. Constant with this is 3 into 10 to the power of 3. H is Planck's constant. This is the Q. So Q is the energy of the quantum. So this is a very big topic. Just or just to keep an idea, what is electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic spectrum. So coming to the next student, so these are the division, students. So in electromagnetic spectrum, we will see this type of radiation. So ultraviolet radiation, visible spectrum. Please remember this value, students. 0.4 micrometers to 0.7 micrometers is visual spectrum. Remember, students, you may get some questions regarding in this. So visual spectrum is 0.4 micrometers to 0.7 micrometers. And coming to the Y, so these are the invisible spectrum. There are different colors of the VIBGYOR and all those things: VIBGYOR, violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. So these are the different forms of variations. Mostly in red region, we can see a lot of photosynthetic activity will be taking place. But plants will looks as a green. Why? Because plants will reflect the green ray, green color. That's why all the plants are in green color. So infrared radiation, you can see infrared spectrum. Most in this also we can see near infra, far infra, mid infra. So there are three types of that. So overall, the infrared spectrum comes under 0.7 micrometers to 100 micrometers. So microwave radiations is 1 mm to 1 millimeter to 1 meter. So radio waves is very more than 1 meter will be there. So this is the overall picture of the electromagnetic spectrum. So please remember these words. This data is very important regarding our examination. So visual spectrum, remember this. So I hope they won't, I think please keep this one also in your pocket. And infrared radiation, so we use microwave and visual spectrum, infrared. So these three are very plays a major role in our remote sensing. So we will see next time. So spectral reflectance, students. Spectral reflectance is completely, reflectant means, what is the meaning of reflectance? Reflectance means we are getting some reflections from the particular object. After heating up, we're getting some reflections. It has a different values, a different wavelength. So every object, so spectral different depend upon the wavelength. So based on type of radiation was gone, or based on type of radiations was if the incident on that particular object, so that the wavelength will be different. It has a different values of different wavelength will given different terrain features. So different wavelength will have a different terrain features. The reflectance characteristics of the earth surface features are expressed by the spectral reflectance. So each object, students, for example, you can't expect, let's say for example, this is a grasses. This is a grass. This is a grass. This is a grass. Okay, and I think this is a building. This is a building, big building. Just imagine this is a building. So the reflectance is quite different, students. So whenever there is a reflectance, so naturally, mostly we use this thing now. We use only natural satellites. Only passive remote sensing. Passive remote sensing means what kind of source we use? We use only so sun. This is the sun, natural source of energy. it will release some radiations. So the radiations reflected by this grasses and this building is quite different. That is what the based on the wavelength also. So what kind of wave, what kind of radiations has been reflected by these two objects is completely different. So based on this, based on the length of the, based on the type of radiation was reflected by these objects, we will be discriminate that these are the grasses and this is a building. So like this we'll see. But overall, students, the spectral reflectance also has been calculated. The spectral reflectance is calculated by, right, 1 minute. Yeah. The spectral reflectance is completed. The reflecting characteristics of the Earth's surface features are expressed by the spectral reflectance. So completely, students, the spectral reflectance means is completely depend upon the wavelength, type of wavelength or incident, and a different values will be different wavelength for a given terrain. So different wavelength will be there. So different. So every object can't reflect same type of wavelength. So different object will reflect different. So banana crop reflectance will be quite different from paddy. So paddy is different from coffee crop and or tea crop. So like that we have different spectral reflectance are there. So the spectral reflectance what are there? So rho lambda is equal to er lambda by ei lambda in bracket close into 100. So this formula used for the calculating spectral reflectance. So we calculate the spectral reflectance by using this one. So what is the meaning of that? So rho lambda is nothing but spectral reflectance, reflectivity at a particular wavelength. So it is a what kind of wavelength is coming to that particular body. It's called the spectral reflectance at a particular wavelength. It is that particular wavelength will have some specific reflectance. So ER is equal is nothing but energy of wavelength reflected from the object. So how much energy was completely reflected, how much energy was released by the object, reflected from the object. So EI lambda is equal to energy of wavelength incident on the object. So how much energy was incident on this? So how much light was or how much wavelength was incident on the object, or how much wavelength this is how much energy was incident on the object. This is the how much energy was or how much wavelength was reflected by the object. This is called ER and EI. These are the difference between ER and EI. This is the overall. This is the spectral reflectance. So spectral reflectance is nothing but how much energy was given or how much energy was reflected into 100. So based on that, each and every object. So being an agriculturist, we can compare like this. So spectral reflectance of banana crop is different. Spectral reflectance of paddy crop is different. Tea crop is different. Some horticulture crops are different. So based on this, students, based on this rho lambda and this wavelength, this particular wavelength, we will go from spectral reflectance curve. We draw a curve. So based on that curve, which object is going to be reflect much energy. So for example, we can expect more reflectance from the banana crop, or we can expect more some physical object like buildings. We can the observation is more. Sorry, not reflectance. Most of the objects will observe the radiations. But if you reflect any energy on a water body, what happened? The reflectance is very less. So that's what. So between if you plot a graph between these two, this rho lambda and between the wavelength and this spectral reflectance, we get one graph. What is the graph? So this spectral reflectance is completely different from object to object. This is what's true. So reflectance. This is the reflectance. This is a wavelength. See, students, for water it is very less. Reflectance was very less. Because most of there is no reflectance. Complete whatever we incident, most of the water is very transparent. That's why most of the wavelength was completely gone inside. There is no reflection. But in green vegetation, so that varies. From banana it will be varies, from paddy it will be varies, from from big horticulture crops it will be varies. That's why we can see some variations. But in soil, students, color also, based on the color conditions, all this. That's why the reflectance in the soil is very high. This is the reflectance. This is called spectral reflectance. This is the spectral reflectance is completely different from one object to another object. So I hope you have understood this. Just I will repeat this. Remember the spectral signature. So nothing. This ER is nothing but how much wavelength of energy or how much wavelength of energy was reflected from the object. For example, some building object was exposed to a sunlight for a long time. So after heating up that object, it will release some radiations. How much radiation was released? At the same time, this EI means incident radiation. So how much percentage of incident was released? So we will plot after getting some value, that is the after doing some division and all these mathematical operations, you'll get one value. That value is called spectral signature. So based on the wavelength and spectral signature, if you plot a graph, you will get this thing. So in soil, it has a more reflectance. In vegetation, there will be some undulating. This is not based on the crop, it will varies. But in water, you can see very less reflectance because of this. Because water is a very transparent, it will go very inside. So that is called this is called the spectral, what I said, spectral reflectance. So coming to the next slide, students, spectral signature. Very important, students. Remember, this is very, very important. Spectral signature means nothing but, students, it's a, say for, I'm going to ask you one question. If you visit a paddy field and a tea crop, you know, we can find some difference, some lot of greenery or something. So not like this. Just compare. If you compare paddy and banana plantation, so paddy have one type of reflections, banana will have one type of reflection. So both have different combinations of reflections will be there. There will be different reflections. The color will be different. The tone will be different. The photographic. If you take with your common camera, if you take a photograph of a paddy field, it will show one type of reflection, one type of greenery you can enjoy. At the same time, if you take a photograph of a banana plantation, it will show one type of character. At the same time, if you take a photograph of some other crops like pad or some jowar or bajra, etc. If you take some dryland crops, you take, it will show one type of reflection. So every particular crop will have a one particular reflection. Say for example, even if you take a photograph of mine, I will show one type of reflection. If I take a photograph of you, it will show one type of reflection. So this spectral reflectance, how much energy was reflected on an incident, and is a function of the wavelength. See, read this first line. Spectral reflectance is the ratio of reflected energy to the incident energy as a function of wavelength. So that particular character of the reflectance is called the spectral signature. So wow, just now I said plants appear green color because reflecting green light. So we're getting green light. So that is the characteristics of the plant, spectral signature. But if you compare this is a coffee, this is a tea crop, student. If you compare this tea crop with banana will have one type of spectral signature. Paddy will have one type of spectral signature. So that is called the spectral signature, students. So whenever a satellite was moving to a particular crop, in space, we will record, or we will educate the computer, or we will give the data like that in a particular way to the computer. We will say that if you observe this range of reflectance, that particular range is called the paddy. If you see some other extra reflectance is there, that is called the banana. So by the help of the spectral signature, we can calculate how much area was cultivated the paddy, how much area was cultivated banana, or how much area was cultivated for the jowar or bajra, etc. We can calculate like that. So based on the spectral signature only, we can do many things. The spectral signature is specific reflectance of the particular crop. This being an agriculture aspect, I'm saying, if I want to say any common way, see for example, building reflectance is quite different. If you park a cars in a particular lot, those reflections will be quite different. So like this, that is called the spectral signature. This is regarding spectral signature. So coming to the next one is called atmospheric scattering. Very important. This is what very important. Scattering. Before going to very first question, I'm going to ask you a few scientific questions. Why sky looks blue? Can anyone answer? Only two students are there. Why sky looks blue? Atmospheric scattering. So scattering is a redirection of electromagnetic radiation by particles suspended in the atmosphere or by a large molecule of atmospheric gases. Scattering, just like a reflecting. It is a redirection of the electromagnetic wavelength. So for example, if I want to give an example, 1 minute. Yeah. Say for example, this is the sky. Imagine this is the sky. This is the sky. Completely, this is the sky. You can see some moisture, some droplets of some dust particle is there. If the light was formed on this dust particle, what will happen? It will scatter this radiation. It will scatter here and there. It will randomly scatter. So this is called the scattering. At the same time, if there is a water droplet is there. if this, the water droplet scattering is quite different, because some of the water droplet is very transparent. So scattering between a dust particle and water is completely quite different. At the same time, if there is any heavy metals are there in the sky, so those reflections are sometimes they may form new compounds due to the packed energy of the electromagnetic radiation. So this is called the scattering. So in this scattering, there are different type of scattering are there. We will see in next slide what are the different type of scatterings are there. So scattering not only reduce this, so the scattering has a lot of problems, students. So due to the scattering, what will happen? Uh, it will reduce the image contrast, but also sometimes it reduce the spectral signature of the ground objects. So the scattering will create a lot of problem. Say for example, if my satellite, if I'm moving a satellite to a particular crop, for example, I'm moving my satellite to the paddy grown area. Satellite was gone to the paddy grown area. I want to know, I want to take the spectral signature. I want to take the reflectance of the paddy crop. What happened? All of a sudden, there is a complete moisture was there in the atmosphere, or many droplets or many dust particles are there. What happened? There is a lot of scattering will be there. Lot of atmospheric scattering of this electromagnetic radiation scattering will be there. What happened? My image contrast, my quality of image, the image quality what I'm taking with the help of satellite was completely reduced, and even sometimes I may misjudge the crop, because the spectral signature also will be hindered. The spectral signature also will be different. The spectral signature also will be create a lot of difference due to this scattering. So the amount of scattering completely, how far the scattering will be disturb our image, sir. That's completely different based on the size of the particle and their abundance and the type of wavelength radiation depend upon the atmosphere through which energies travel, and concentration of the particles. So so if there are dust particles, how much concentration of dust particles are there? Say for example, nowadays in Delhi we are facing this problem, this dust particles. So early morning we can see very dull climate because of the dust, completely because of dust particles. This very quite different. But if you move far away from Delhi, the dust particles are very less. So but very less means somewhat less when compared to central Delhi. Besides we go to Haryana particular area, the dust quantity of dust particles varies. So there you can see one type of image. So like this, and size and if it's a dust or water particles, whatever might be, based on the size and particle of the and their abundance, this particular scattering will be varies. And also students, this scattering is completely different upon the time, based on the time and also season. If you want to take images on the rainy season, quite different. It's very difficult because we will get a different image. We will get a different spectral signature. We can't get the different spectral signature. We won't get the proper image, and we won't get proper information for that particular object because of this atmospheric scattering. Because of this atmospheric scattering, we won't get the particular image problem because of this atmospheric scattering. We will see the next. What are those? So how many types of scattering are there, sir? So you're saying many scattering. What are the scatterings are there? How many type of scatterings are there? So overall, students, there are three type of major scatterings are there. So what are those, sir? Those are called the rayleigh scattering, Mie scattering, non-selective scattering. So these are the three important students. So rayleigh scattering, Mie scattering, and null scattering. And students, remember, this scattering plays a major role. You are seeing a clouds, no? You are seeing a white color clouds. Why the clouds are very white color? Because of this scattering. Sometimes you may see darkness. All of suddenly you can see very dark color sky. Why? Because of this scattering. Even Delhi, why there is a lot of problem, because there is no light. Even Delhi or even Hyderabad also, there is a lot of problem in cities because of this scattering, because of dust particles released by the motorbikes or some due to the pollution. Sometimes if there is a heavy carbon dioxide content was very high, carbon dioxide will absorb the energy. So that's all quite different phenomena. Anyhow, we are going to see about this scatterings, particularly Mie scattering, rayleigh scattering, and non-selective scattering. What are the scatterings are? We will see in details. So rayleigh scattering, students, the scattering will be around in the wavelength of -4. This is the wavelength of -4. Mie scattering is not to lambda not to -4. It is non-selective, is completely zero wavelength. Approximate particle size. So if the particle size is at which particle range this rayleigh scattering will be taking place. The particle size is less than 1 micrometer. That particular particle in the atmosphere was less than 1 micrometer. Example, air molecules. Especially air molecules, we can say rayleigh scattering. This is what the rayleigh scattering is a major reason why the clouds looks very white in color. And my scattering mostly at which size of particles should be there? That is 0.1 to 10 micrometers. Please remember this. Smoke and hush. If there is a smoke, this is what actually this is very quite common in Delhi. Delhi in most of our Indian cities, because we are releasing most of our from motorbikes and all those things. We are releasing a lot of smoke and hush was coming from bikes. So this type of my scattering we can say. I don't know how much particle size should be there, from 0.1 to 10 micrometers. And non-selective scattering, dust, fog, clouds, etc. All those things. I'm sorry, I think this is the non-selective is a reason for the why clouds looks like. So 10 micrometers. So mostly more than 10 micrometers, dust, fog, etc. So combination of these two are very dangerous. This is what we are facing nowadays. We'll see next. What is that? Rayleigh scattering. So what is Rayleigh scattering? Rayleigh scattering predominantly, see students, please read this word, where electromagnetic radiation interacts with a particle that are smaller than the wavelength of incoming radiation. See students, the wavelength, so wavelength is interacting to a particle which is smaller than the wavelength. So there you can see the Rayleigh scattering. Remember this word. So read this first line. Rayleigh scattering predominates where electromagnetic radiation interacts with the particles that are smaller than the wavelength of incoming light. That is smaller than the incoming light. There you can see the Rayleigh scattering. So effect of Rayleigh scattering is inversely proportional fourth power of the wavelength. So naturally, Rayleigh scattering fourth power of this. So naturally, if the wavelength is more, particle size is less. There you can see the Rayleigh scattering. That's why both are the inversely proportional. So shorter wavelengths are scattered more than the longer wavelength. And also, if you go with the very shorter wavelength was interacting with that particular object or particular thing, what happened? You know, the Rayleigh scattering will be more. If you go with a more longer wavelength was hitting that particular particle, what will happen? The Rayleigh scattering will be more. That is why it's called the inversely proportional. So inversely proportional. Shorter wavelengths are scattered more than the longer wavelength. But overall, students, remember this Rayleigh scattering will happen only when the wavelength interact the smaller particles than the wavelength of incoming radiation. So if the small wavelengths are hitting the particles, you know, the Rayleigh scattering is more. If the longer wavelengths come, Rayleigh scattering less. That's why it's called the inversely proportional to the fourth power of the wave. So completely in the absence of these particles and scattering, the sky would appear as a black. Smart students, if there is no Rayleigh scattering, this phenomenon is not there, what happened? Our sky will look like a black. It will be look like a black color. That is why sometimes due to this the lack of this Rayleigh scattering, our sky will looks like a black in color. In context of remote sensing, the Rayleigh scattering is very important type of scattering, students. So it causes distortion in spectral characteristics and reflecting light when they compare to the measuring of ground truth. Especially this Rayleigh scattering will plays a major role. How in remote sensing it will disturb our spectral characteristics and ultimately disturb our spectral signature. So it is very difficult. So we have to compare with our ground truth. So that's why Rayleigh scattering plays a major role in remote sensing. So please remember about the Rayleigh scattering. You will get some questions. We'll get some questions on this Rayleigh scattering. Come to the my scattering. My scattering is pakka opposite to that, students. My scattering will occur wavelength of incoming radiation is smaller in size of atmospheric particles. So here the particle is bigger, wavelength was smaller. But whereas in the Rayleigh scattering is vice versa, where the wavelength is bigger, particle was very less. But here it is quite different. My scattering, incoming radiations are wavelength is smaller, particle is more. So mostly these are caused where you can see mixture of gases, aerosols especially, and water vapor and dust. Only here you can see the Rayleigh scattering. Where you can see my scattering, mixture of gases, water vapor and dust. In this particle you can see the my scattering. In generally restricted to lower atmosphere, where the larger particles are abundant and dominant under the overcasting the cloud conditions. Mostly in lower area where the particles are very big or in abundance, there you can see overcast the cloud conditions. So you can see dominant, because in lower atmosphere you can see this type of my scattering. It influences the entire spectral region from ultraviolet to near infrared radiation. So this my scattering, where it will happen from ultraviolet to near infrared radiation. So almost it will cover our visible range also. It will cover our visible range also. So this type of my scattering will happen from ultraviolet to near infrared regions also. So non-selective. So non-selective scattering. This type of scattering where when the particles is much larger than the wavelength of incoming radiation. Here in my scattering, it is bigger particle hitting the wavelength. But here in non-selective, the particles are very large. Mostly where you can see this type of reflections, water droplets and larger dust particles, big dust particles. So the scattering is independent of the wavelength. Here wavelength, all wavelengths scatter equally. Here there is a, so whatever type of wavelength you use in non-selective scattering, we can observe the scattering is completely equal. So most common examples are of non-selective scattering are clouds as white. The cloud looks white. I'm changing. Previously I said it is a red scattering. It's not red scattering. It's a non-selective scattering. Why the cloud looks as white? Because of this non-selective scattering. So non-selective scattering plays a major role. How, why? So the why we are looking the clouds white because of this non-selective scattering. So non-selective scattering, what happening? Here the wavelength is wavelength is smaller and the particles is much larger when compared to the mice scattering. So are the clouds consisting of, why the cloud look as white color, students? Because cloud consisting of water droplet particles and wavelength are scattered in equal amount of them. That's why. So what happens whenever these clouds consist of water droplets and particles will be there. That's why whatever the wavelength we use, so it will scatter equally. That's why equal reflection or equal scattering will be there. That is called the cloud appearance. That's the reason why the cloud appear as a white in color. Cloud appear as a white in color. This is non-selective. Overall, students, this Rayleigh scattering or Mie scattering, all this which will give some our idea. So we used to avoid this error, we use some filters. So whenever we take a color, we take an image, we use different filters we use for image processing. Actually, that is very high range of knowledge. When we deal with image processing, there we will deal all those things. So when there is a large particles and we want to get a proper data, we have to use, for example, occurrence of the scattering mechanism is a clue to existing of larger particle matter in the atmosphere above sense of interest, which is useful data. So we can with this help of the scattering, we can calculate many things: how much dust particles are there, how much water formation are there. So based on how much pollution is there, based on this scattering only, based on this Mie and Rayleigh scattering only, today we are calculating the how much dust particles are there in the air. And also using Meanius blue means Meanius blue Meanius blue filters can eliminate the effect of, these are the filters, student. Meanius blue filters means these filters will eliminate the related component of scattering. So the scattering will be just, it will be one type of filter we use in the image processing. If we use that image, we use that filter, especially this related component will be. However, effect of the heavy as and we all scattering uniformly cannot be eliminated using here as filters. So this is as we said, just like non-selective scattering, we can't escape the non-selective scattering, because whatever the wavelength we give, it will reflect very equally. That's the problem. So the effect of Hasse or less pronounced in the thermal infrared radiation. Microwave are completely immune to us and even penetrate the cloud. So to overall the students, to overall this cloud conditions or sometimes this climatic conditions, to overcome all these things, we use microwaves. If we use microwave remote sensing, we will read all those things. So there is no problem of this non-selective or Rayleigh scattering, because microwaves, even they can penetrate the clouds and they can gather the information of ground truth. That's why these microwaves are very advanced, and we will see how many types of remote sensing are there, what type of remote sensing is there, so what are the uses and all those things we will discuss in this. So atmospheric absorption, students. So we have discussed about the scattering. Now we have discussing about the absorption, taking in. So gas molecule present is absorb the electromagnetic passing through the atmosphere. Mostly this absorption, mostly where you can see, students, mostly ozone is observing, carbon dioxide is observing these electromagnetic radiations, and water vapor also observing. So if there is more carbon dioxide, absorption is more, so generally it leads to the global warming. So ozone observes a high energy short waves portion of the ultraviolet spectrum. Remember this, these students, you may get some questions, especially JRF students. Ozone observe high energy short wavelength portion of the ultraviolet spectrum at a wavelength of 0.24 micrometers, thereby preventing the transmission of this radiation to the lower atmosphere. That's why, students, actually this shorter wavelength of ultraviolet rays, UV rays, are very dangerous, because that's why mostly if it's felt on our human body, there is a lot of problems. Some mutations will be taken place. Sometimes it may leads to the cancer also. That's why ozone will observe all these shorter wavelengths, and so that's why it won't go to the lower observation. The carbon dioxide, students, It's very remote sensing is very effective observing radiation in the mid and far infrared radiation. So mostly this carbon dioxide plays a major role in remote sensing. It is effectively observe the radiation in mid and far infrared radiation regions of the spectrum. So that's why it strongly observe the where it strongly observe around 13 to 17 micrometers, whereas two important regions of the water vapor absorption bands are 5.5 to 7 micrometers, above 27 micrometers. So above absorption relatively reduces the amount of light and reach to our eye makes sense look relatively dull. Generally, students, if this light was observation, this absorption of light of these particular gases, ozone and carbon dioxide, what happened? The image we are getting will become very duller. That's why if we take a photo in our closed room, we get a different we get a very dull image. But if you take a image, if you take a photograph in a outdoor, what will happen? We get a better image because there is no absorption is not there. There is no absorption is not there. There is a proper light is there. That's why we can get a proper image. So this is called the absorption is nothing but what are the type of absorption was taking place by ozone, carbon dioxide, and all those things. Now we will see the next what is happening. Atmospheric windows. Atmospheric windows. So atmospheric selectively transport certain wavelength students. So atmospheric windows is nothing but through particular the particular wavelength only we use for remote sensing. The spectral bands for which atmosphere is relatively transparent are known as atmospheric windows. So for example, we can use visible, we can use infrared, we can use microwaves, we can use, but we can't use ultraviolet. So that is very difficult. We won't use all those things. So those particular spectral bands are called the atmospheric windows. Atmospheric windows are nothing but a spectral bands for which atmosphere is relatively transparent, as known as spectral bands. So what are those present? So mostly these windows are present in visual part, where zero point 0.4 to 7.7 micrometers, and the infrared regions of electromagnetic spectrum. There you can see the atmospheric windows. In visual part, transmission is mainly affected by the ozone absorption and by the molecule. Just we have seen visual. Just some radiation will be observed by the ozone, and some radiations will be disturbed by the molecular scattering. Scattering we have discussed what are those scattering. And the atmosphere is transparent again beyond wavelength of 1 millimeter. The region used for this for microwaves. Again, just I will show one image, students, then you can get it. Yeah, this is one, student. See, this is called the atmospheric windows. All this visual infra here, infra. This is called visual. This is called visual region. Near infra, far infra, all those things. Again, but here it is completely blocked. There is we can't use any. We can't use for remote sensing. But again, we can use in microwave. So this is called the atmospheric windows. These are called the atmospheric windows. This is what I am explaining in this theoretical portion. This is called nothing but spectral bands for which atmosphere is relatively transparent are known as atmospheric windows. So remember, this is called the atmospheric windows. So refraction. So refraction means actually myrages. Myrages. I don't know myrages की क्या बोला हिंदी में. Actually I have no idea on what is myrages in Hindi. Mirage is nothing but if you look from far away from particular area, we can see some water is there. We feel there is a water, but if you go near to that area, there will be no water. We get that feel of there is a water means what is the meaning of that? That is due to the incomplete internal reflection, or that is called the refraction. That is called the mirages. Especially the phenomena of refraction is a bending due to the bending of light at a contact between two media. Also occur in the atmosphere as light passes the atmospheric layers of varied clarity and humidity and temperature. So this refraction, sometimes the light waves may sometimes may be bended because of this some humidity or temperature causes are in dense atmospheric layers. So which turn bending of light rays has passed from one layer to another. So from one layer to another layer, while passing from these atmospheric layers, what will happen? There will be some bending of wavelengths, and we get some different feel, some different images. Mostly this common phenomena are mirage. Mirage means if you look some far, especially in Rajasthan, it's complete, where is a complete desert area. If you see from far air, we feel there is a water. But if you go nearby there will be no water. So that we get that feel. Why? Because of this refraction only. That is called mirages. like apparitions are visible in the distance on a hot summer day. So we can see from hot summer day, if you see very far away, we feel, okay, there is some water is there. But if you go and see near, there will be no water. Why? Because of this refraction factor only. This refraction will plays a major role in mirage conditions. Come to the next, students, remote sensing system. So overall, students, these are the things I'm going to explain. So this is the core body of today's lecture. So how many types of remote sensing are there? Very first, satellite remote sensing, very advanced thing, and infrared remote sensing, very quite useful. And the one, optical remote sensing and radar remote sensing, visual remote sensing, very old, but still we can use it, and microwave remote sensing. So these are the different type of remote sensing are there. What are those? Microwave remote sensing, satellite remote sensing, infrared remote sensing, optical remote sensing, radar remote sensing, and visual remote sensing. So these are the different type of remote sensing are there. Now we're going to see the details of this type of remote sensing. Well, very first we will see very interesting thing called visual remote sensing. Visual remote sensing is nothing but general sense. It's nothing but with our naked eye. So human beings are the human visual systems is an example of remote sensing system. In general case, generally what we see with our eyes. So mostly in human eye, there are the two types of photosensitive cells are there. What are those? Cones and rods. So based on that, so to be very simple, whenever the sun, this is the natural source of energy, it will reflect on the object. So what will happen? This object will be reflect some radiation. That radiation will be going to our eyes. In eyes, there we have two type of photocells that is called the cones and rods. We call cones and rods. So based on the cones and rods, they will clarify the image. We will send a signal to the brain. From brain again we will get the image clarity. So this is called the visual infrared radiation. Nothing but what we see, what we see with our eyes. Those are called the visual remote sensing with the help of our internal photocells called cones and rods. So mostly we will see this type of remote sensing. We use three primary colors, students. What are those? Red, green, blue. Please remember, three primary colors are red, green, blue are the three primary colors. So by mixing of these three primary colors only, we getting many colors like violet, etc., etc., gray. All this we get all these colors because of combination of these three primary colors of red, green, blue. So mostly in our remote sensing, we will use this type of three primary colors. Mostly in modern computers. So whenever this was coming, we use this called the remote sensing. I will give proper notes for this. And coming to the next is called optical remote sensing. So optical remote sensing is nothing but optical sensor. Mostly we use some optical sensors reflected or scattered from the earth's surface, forming an image resembling to the photograph taken by the camera. Mostly camera, students. We will get a reflection from the sun, and again we'll get some reflections. Here will be one camera will be there, so with the optic lens. So based on that lens, we will create one image. Just we can compare with our old photograph. In olden days we use a photo reel we use. So that reel we use some different object, different lens will be used. So that is called we use some optics, we use some glass optics within this remote sensing. Mostly the wavelength region usually extend from which area we can see, hardly we can see visible and near infrared rays to shorter wavelength, shorter infrared radiation. In that range we can take the optical remote sensing we can use. So where we can use, I'm sorry. So mostly in our optical remote sensing, in which regions we can see, we can use this optical remote sensing in visible, near infra, and short wave infrared radiance we can see. So mostly, students, different materials such as water, soil, vegetation, buildings, and roads reflect visible and infrared light in different way. They have different colors and brightness when seen under the sun. So the interruptions of optical images requires knowledge of spectral reflectance signatures, which we have discussed. So the various amount of material that natural or man-made covered on the surface of the earth. So overall, students, in this optical remote sensing, we need to know about the reflectance spectral signature. So for example, sun is radiating the particular object here on earth. So every particle we have different. So roads will be reflected. One type of reflectance will be there. One type of reflection. So infrared, because whenever a body was heated, it will release infrared radiations. So A tree will release one type of infrared radiation, building will be release one type of infrared radiation, soil will release one type of infrared radiation. So to use this optical remote sensing, we have to know some knowledge on the spectral reflectance signatures. That means we have to always will be should be very careful. We have to know the spectral signature of particular object. So this is regarding the optical remote sensing. Coming to next students, infrared remote sensing. Infrared radiation is nothing but, as I said, this infrared radiations, whenever a body was heated or radiated or exposed to the sun, what will happen? It will release some infrared radiation. So these infrared radiations will be collected by our satellite, and the amount of infrared radiations, right? The type of infrared radiations will be read by our ground truth. By ground truth means by our computers, by our systems, and all those things. So by using this type of satellite images of different, so as I said, for this forest will have one type of infrared radiations, buildings will have one type of infrared radiation, grasses will have one type of infrared radiation. So like this, we have different type of infrared radiations, and we use that infrared reflectance in infrared remote sensing. So we use infrared radiation in this remote sensing. Coming to the next students, microwave remote sensing. This is what I usually says, microwave remote sensing. Actually, in nighttime students, all the previous remote sensing, whether it is a visual or optic or infrared, for all these we have to use passive source. That means passive source, natural source of energy. We have to use sun. But in night time, we won't have sun. There is no chance for the sun. The sun will be set, so we won't get anything. In that case, we can use this microwave images. So we can these microwaves have another advantage. We can overcome the problem of scattering, like non-selective scattering or relay scattering, because this type of microwaves, we even can penetrate the clouds. So it can penetrate the clouds, and it will give a high resolution image. So image quality was very high in microwave remote sensing. So in microwave remote sensing, some satellites will carry the microwave source, and they will release the microwaves in the particular object, and it will get some reflections. These microwaves will give very high clarity image, because these microwaves can even penetrate. They can flash their own microwaves. This is the major advantage of this microwave radiation. We can take image at any time. We can take in night time, or even if there is a cloudy condition also, we can take the images of microwaves remote sensing. Coming to the radar remote sensing. Radar remote sensing is nothing but, students, it's a radio signaling. Just we will release some radio signals, and we release to some area. What will happen? It will bounce back. So for example, if I release some radiation, actually this type of mostly in security regions, especially in army, military, they will use this type of radars. They continuously they will release some radio signals, some radar some radio signals. What will happen? It will go and it will hit to the one particular object, and again it will reflect back. It will reflect back, and we can identify the particular object where it happened. Mostly, for example, if any illegally, if any aeroplane was coming into our Indian territory, what will happen? Always our army people always will use some radar signals. They will release the radio activity. So what happened? That radio signals will hit that aircraft, and that will go and reach to our ground truth, our computer. Automatically, what we will say? Okay, there is something was coming into our territory. Then we will take some particular action. This is a major advantage of remote sensing. Not only this, we can easily where we can't go. For example, there is a high undulating area, high mountain area, so we can't take particular information of that particular. What will happen? We can go and use remote sensing, and also we can use this remote sensing highly where we can use mostly in depth of the sea. We use many things. Especially we can penetrate very high thick clouds in moisture condition also. And what different we can get different type based on this radar remote sensing, we can get different topographic maps also. So we can get very accurate results. So this remote sensing we can use day and night, anytime we can use, and we can get very perfect image landforms. We can get very perfect image. We can get a very proper information. Radar remote sensing. So radar remote sensing is nothing but just we release some signals. The signals will go and hit particular object, and again it will reflect back. That reflecting radiations will be read by our system, and we will come to one conclusion what kind of object is there. This is the radar remote sensing. It is very useful in this type of remote sensing easily can penetrate the thick clouds and moisture also. Coming to the next, satellite remote sensing, very advanced students. Nowadays, actually, we all are using this one. So we send the satellite to this satellite to the space. So we send the satellite and we'll take the different images. So naturally, the satellites are called the eyes in the sky. So most of our research, we go, so all our satellites, we will be in a particular orbit. Um, we will get different information regarding our agriculture field. We get information today. Our Google, all these maps are we are seeing all these maps. How because of this satellite remote sensing only. Even India also has tried once, they failed, but again they have succeeded. And second time I think so, the satellite remote sensing is very advanced thing, and we can manage the natural resources, we can manage what kind of things, and also we can manage the natural disaster also. So for example, there is a big cyclone is there, most of the crops were gone. So what we will do, we will use a satellite remote sensing images. So by using satellite image satellites, we can come to one conclusion, how many acres of land was destroyed because of this cyclone. So based on that, we can go for planning, and also we can use a very reasonably, very justifiably, we can use our natural resource management. So we can go for natural resource management because of this help of this satellite remote sensing. So regarding this, a very advanced thing. So overall, students, I hope I have given basic knowledge of remote sensing. So these are the different type of remote sensing and activities. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Thank you, students.